Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my live Godzilla vs. Kong review. I think I'll put these headphones back on properly now. Actually, I might even just bloom and take them off. Don't think I need them. Not really going to watch anything. So usually I do some painting on Fridays, but considering that Godzilla vs. Kong came out this week, 2 days ago, I believe, and I got a chance to see it on the opening day on HBO Max because a good friend of mine, Dr. Tanastrophius, managed to get me a login so I could actually watch it and show my nephew the day after. Yesterday he came over to watch it, and I know it's released in the UK now on some streaming services, I believe Amazon Prime, but I figured I wanted to see it on the opening day because I just didn't want to risk like any more spoilers or anything. And I say any more because one big thing, which I'll go into in a few minutes, was spoiled for me before the film, and I really wish it wasn't. But anyway, we'll get into that more. Hello everyone who's in the chat so far. We've got Unfitted Rogue, Moondog Jr., hello there, Godzilla Master 84, hello there, Gary Pfeiffer and the Jurassic Emilio, hello there. So yes, as Unfitted Rogue says in the chat, I will be talking spoilers, so if you don't want to know any spoilers for this, leave this live stream. I'm not going to actually talk about spoilers straight away, just because I want to give people a chance to leave if they don't want to hear spoilers, but I have put it in the title of the video. So Godzilla Master 84 says, so are we going full throttle on the spoilers? Of course, yes, this is a place for people who have seen the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, if you want it spoiled, fair enough, stick around. If you don't really care, if you're one of those sort of people, fair dues, stick around. But if you're not, and you want to go in completely blind, then the best thing to do is stay away from this live stream. Gary Pfeiffer says, what? I thought this was a painting stream. I'm outie soon. No stream, no paint tonight. I have to admit, I'm really tired. Like, I had barely any sleep last night. Had a really bad night's sleep. Not because of the baby or anything like that. It was just a really uncomfortable sleep for whatever reason. And I did have to get up and sort the baby at one point, but it wasn't her fault. She was I was awake to go help her, so I did. But yes, so I'm really tired this evening, and there was even a point where I was like, should I do my live stream about Godzilla vs. Kong? And then I thought, you know what, I should. Moondog Jr. says, can we spoil the movie in the chat? If we can't, that's fine. Well, I'd say yes, you can. Once I get onto spoilers. So when I start talking about spoilers, we'll go full hog, as it were. But yes, let me just have a sip of tea. I don't know how long this is going to be, and I'm not doing any painting afterwards, so this might even be like quite a short stream. I've got no plans to go until bloody midnight or anything. I know I've started this stream 1 hour earlier than I usually do, because I usually start these live streams at 9 PM UK time, but it's now 8, or just gone 8. But yeah, I wanted to basically talk about this movie and then hit the hay because I'm just knackered. Godzilla Master 84 says, so the movie was good. Let's get that out of the way. The movie was great. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let's start my initial thoughts on this movie. Just to give you some history. Obviously, a lot of people, I'm a big Godzilla fan, big Kong fan as well. People will know that from watching this channel a lot. But I went into this... Oh, thank you for the $5 tip, Never Not So Clever. This says, get yourself a coffee. We have a lot of ground to cover. You and I will have a lot of ground to cover, dude. Next week, when I'll get you back on, and then we can have the discussion around this film. I wanted to like have my own thoughts tonight, just so I can, because when you get into the weeds of like talking to someone else, like I want this to be an interesting video from the perspective of you getting my unfiltered thoughts, and then we can butt opinions or whatever on next week's stream when I'm actually doing some painting and stuff like that. So, but yeah, cheers for the $5 tip, man. So my big fan of both franchises. What I was expecting going into this, I'd heard rumours the film was 3 hours long, and I was like, I don't know if it's going to be 3 hours long, but it would be cool. I'd obviously heard the tagline, which you can see all over this live stream that I'm doing. The tagline was "One will fall," and I was like, they better have one of them win. Like, just I don't care who, because for me it's a win-win situation. But I have one of them win, and obviously that came true. As you can see by the little emoji thing here, well, my mic's in the way. This guy here, poking him. I was Team Kong all the way, and I've seen the movie twice now, and I'm still Team Kong. That has not changed, and I'll explain that more in as we go through the review. But yeah, so like I was really like, to give you some more context, like before this film came out, like right now there are, in terms of films that I'm stupidly hyped for, before this film came out there was 2 films I'm stupidly hyped for. One, Jurassic World Dominion, can't really talk about that though, and 2, Godzilla vs. Kong. And so now this one's done, I'm like, okay, I've only got one film I'm really, really, really looking forward to. There's other films out there that I'm curious about, like the Ghostbusters Afterlife and a few other things like that, but nothing really like making me going, yeah, like I gotta go see that film. This was one of them, and obviously the whole experience of watching it at home for the first time, it had its pros and cons, I think. Pro, you can pause the movie to go to the toilet so you don't miss anything. I'd say pro because my TV here is pretty big. It's like 4K TV is pretty huge, and me and my wife, we pushed the sofa up to the TV, so it was like even bigger. So, and my wife turned to me afterwards. She had a hell of a good time watching this movie. She was really pleased with this, more so than I was expecting. She really got into this film, and she turned to me after we watched it and she said that was better than the cinema. And I was like, yeah, in some ways it really was. The cons for me, though, is that there's this atmosphere where you go to the cinema, where obviously the screen is ridiculously big and the sound is great and all that sort of stuff. But there's this atmosphere of, like, when you go to the cinema, just the negatives of the cinema is, like, you can't... People will put feet up on the seats, they'll chew loudly, their mouth open, they'll talk, all this sort of stuff. There's all those negatives, they'll throw food everywhere. But when you get the really good cinema experience, there's nothing like it. And this sort of film, when you're watching it, like, this was designed to see it on the big screen. So when it does come out in the UK, 100% I'm going to see this at the cinema, like, even though I've already seen it. Yeah, I don't care. I want to go see this on the big screen when it finally comes out in the UK, but a pretty tyrannical government has us locked down. Hello Gigaraptor, how are you doing? Hello Mikey, hello Titan Serpents. They all say they got to see it in IMAX, you lucky son of... Gary Pfeiffer says Team Godzilla, Titan Serpents Team Gojira, Team Kong unfitted rogue. But anyway, okay, we're going to get into this a little bit more. There's so much to talk about. But yeah, so building up, really excited for this movie. I'm a fan of the original King Kong versus Godzilla. If you want to know, like, my thoughts on that, I do like that movie. It's a lot of fun. But I've got this series on my YouTube channel called the Skull Island Files, where I'm covering all the Kong movies, and obviously now I've got one more to add to that list now, which I'll eventually get round to doing. But you can hear my thoughts on the original King Kong versus Godzilla there. But obviously that movie is dated, but it's just a lot of fun. So with this film being a remake of that, my expectations were there, which is like kind of a low bar. But I was like, but they're going, like, I'm trying to think of a way of wording this. Like, okay, we're going to go all the way back to 2014. I'm going to talk about the Monsterverse, right, and my thoughts on it leading up to this. Because as far as we know, I haven't read into much of this, so I could be completely wrong. But as far as I know, hang on a second, what am I doing here? Is that little Kong not visible? Maybe I need to put him up here. Let's put him up here. There you go. There you go. So you guys can see him. I think my Pterodome logo was in the way. Let's move him. There you go. Get him up there. Get Team Kong on the go. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, so back in 2014, I was working at a cinema, and this cinema just so happened to be holding a screening for people who worked for Warner Brothers of the new Godzilla. And I can't remember if at the time that I knew it was going to be a Monsterverse. I can't remember if I did or not. But either way, I went into this... my boss at the time went, look, I know you're a big Godzilla fan. I've got you a seat in there with all these like Warner Brother marketing execs and all this sort of stuff from the UK branch. And so I got to see the film. I think the review of it somewhere. I've got it somewhere, but like I did a review of it. It might even still be up on my old channel. So I went to go see it like well in advance of everyone else in the UK, and I remember them saying they gave like an introduction, and one of the execs who was there was like, this film cost, I don't know, what was it, something like in total including marketing like 250 million or something ridiculous like that to make, or the film itself cost like 150 million to make or something like that. And then he was like, and you're going to see every single penny spent of it on screen. And we watched the 2014 Godzilla, and I came out of it thinking, oh my god, like that was the greatest film I'd ever seen. Like I was so enamored with Godzilla 2014. I thought that was such a fresh thing to see, like this Godzilla film being taken seriously. You know, the action, even though it was, my only complaint was it was too dark to see for a good majority of the fight at the end. But I really got involved with all the characters, everything. Like I loved the movie. And then Kong Skull Island rolls around in 2017. And just before I get onto that, I just want to say big thanks to Big Shark 9000 for the $2 tip. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, man. So then obviously I'm sitting on Godzilla 2014 for 3 years. What was it 14, 15, 16, 17? Yeah, it's 2017. And then Kong Skull Island comes out, and again, I'm getting pumped. Like I'm watching I watched not all of the trailers, but I watched a couple of trailers, and one of them I really enjoyed the trailer of that I've actually downloaded for Kong Skull Island, because I just think it's a really well-made trailer. But anyway, besides the point, get really hyped for Skull Island. And when I go into Skull Island, there's as well, everyone probably will agree, there was a instant tonal shift from Godzilla 2014 to Kong Skull Island, and now it's a prequel set before, but at the same time that's besides the point. Like the tonal shift happened, and I saw this, a lot of people got turned off by this who really enjoyed Godzilla 2014, but I also saw people who didn't enjoy Godzilla 2014 go, I actually really liked Skull Island. Like a good majority of people were doing this switch I saw from reviews. For myself, I was like, actually, you know what? The tonal shift is jarring, because there are moments in Kong Skull Island where it does feel like it is in the same universe as Godzilla 2014. But at the same time, there's moments where it's like, this just doesn't feel like it's in the same universe at all. Like, just the silly moments where the characters are acting more, what's the word of putting it? Like, it's more actory than the naturalistic way that they were doing it in 2014. But anyway, moving on from that, the point I'm making is the tonal shift happened, and I was faced with this dilemma. I was like, do I accept it as part of the same universe, or do I go, okay, they're kind of messing up here? I went with the former. I went with okay, these are part of the same universe, because I remembered, and I don't know if anyone else did this, but I remembered that, when you watch the old Godzillas and you watch the old King Kong movies, the tonal shift is everywhere. So you go Godzilla 1954, it's like this dark, broody movie. Even, I know they're not in the same universe because they're not Toho, but even King Kong from 1933, it's a sort of similar thing. Then you get Godzilla versus Anguirus, in, I believe it's 1955 or 56, I think that came out. But anyway, it's like monster fights another monster, but it's like, it's not as serious as the first one. There's the start of a shift, and then you get to King Kong versus Godzilla, and that is like just out of the window. The serious tone is gone. It's practically a comedy. And I was like, well, I like it in those old films, so why is it there's this air hanging over Godzilla 2014 that people want this tone to continue on through those movies, like this brooding, dark visuals, but brooding nature to the film, where there's not much comedy and all this sort of stuff. Which I'm like, fair enough, that's okay. But when looking back at where these films are coming from, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to bite the bullet here and realise that they are remaking these old movies to get to Godzilla vs. Kong. And if they're doing that, then when Godzilla vs. Kong comes around, I can't expect this movie to be the same as Godzilla 2014. That's what Kong Skull Island taught me. And then Godzilla King of the Monsters came out in 2019, and that just doubled down on that. So the opening of 2019 is set in San Francisco in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and it has that same feel as the first movie. Like, characters are really serious, and there is this serious like acting and play throughout Godzilla King of the Monsters. But at the same time, they also introduced the playful tone and the exaggerated craziness of Kong Skull Island into King of the Monsters as well. So when I'm watching the Monsterverse, for me, the tones go like this, and I'm going to use my hands. It's like, there's Godzilla 2014, there's Kong Skull Island. They meet tonally at King of the Monsters, and then it sort of inverts and becomes it's like this sort of new tone in Godzilla vs. Kong, which I came to like, because Godzilla vs. Kong has this serious tone to it, but it's also jokey, but it's not too jokey. It's like it hits it perfectly in the middle of those two, and I really appreciate that. So there's my first thing about Godzilla vs. Kong, was going into it, I was like, the tone is going to be something different than what I've experienced before in these movies, because each film is tonally different, but there is this kind of through line where you're like, okay, I'm going with it. It's in the same universe. Okay, we started in this very broody place at the beginning, but now we're just having complete fun with it. And that is what they did with the old Godzillas and Godzilla, King Kong versus Godzilla, and all those ones, like Godzilla versus the Smog Monster and Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. Name the film. That's what they did. They went like this in tone. I would say the Godzilla, for a series of Godzilla films, because there's not really a series of Kong movies, they tend to come in twos. Funny enough, you've got, just to go on a bit of a side tangent here, King Kong from 1933 and Son of Kong are two movies. King Kong 1976 and King Kong Lives are two movies that are sequels. King Kong 2005 is the only one that doesn't have a sequel, is the anomaly here. And now we've got Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong, because a lot of people, and I'll go into this a little bit more in a bit, but Godzilla vs. Kong feels more like a Kong movie than a Godzilla movie, but yeah, we'll go into detail in that about that in a minute. But yeah, so what was I saying? So the tonal shift I was kind of expecting, so I was like, okay, this is, oh yeah, sorry, Godzilla Master says King Kong vs. Godzilla and King Kong Escapes 2. That's a bit of a misconception, because King Kong Escapes actually isn't a sequel to King Kong vs. Godzilla, but they are the two sort of Toho King Kong movies from back in the day, so people do put them together. I mean, I put them together sometimes on the shelf when I'm like organising my DVDs. I think I've actually got King Kong Escapes in with the King Kong movies at the moment rather than the Godzilla ones. But yeah, so yeah, there are like there's 2 King Kong films that technically don't. Well, no, 3 if you connect King Kong verse. Anyway, besides the point. What was I going to say? Jose says, I prefer Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong because they don't take themselves seriously. Yeah, and that's a taste thing. Like, people don't always want it to be this broody seriousness all the time. Like, it was great in 2014, and it would be interesting to see how like Gareth Edwards or someone if he came back and kept that idea going, what he would have done with Godzilla vs. Kong. But hey, we live in the world where we get this Godzilla vs. Kong, which is just so much fun. James Thompson says, I agree, the movies have been going through a tonal transition. Yeah, it's like they've been trying to find their footing, but at the same time, the tone, I don't know, the tonal shift, I like it because each movie is like a different feeling, but they actually, ironically enough, the one that stands out the most in this MonsterVerse is the first one. The other 3 actually, I know they said they like changed tone, but Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong all have sort of a very similar feel to them, in terms of like the way the characters are acting, and the way the monsters like have a bit more personality to them. Whereas in the original 2014 Godzilla didn't really. He did a bit to like show that he had a bit of character. Like, there's a bit after he kills the male Muto, he like goes like he's like fed up, he's old, he's like cranky and all this sort of stuff. And the Mutos, they like have a personality, as in like they want to mate and fight, but they don't really have like a quirk that shows they have like intelligence or whatever. Whereas you get to like Kong Skull Island, obviously King Kong or Kong is a very intelligent creature, and in this film we learn super intelligent, which I actually liked. And then Godzilla King of the Monsters, we learn the monsters are all very like, they're just like really intelligent, and that's how they were in the old film, so that I didn't mind. Mikael says, I've seen Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla somewhat when I was 5 to 7. I remember I had nightmares about this movie. Mike Shatter says, what do you think about the insane amount of memes developed from this movie? I've been away from all of that because I didn't really follow Godzilla vs. Kong, because I didn't want to be spoilt by anything, so I haven't really been following any of it. I know the whole like monkey, like return to monkey meme, that's about it. And I guess there's been a couple of memes on my Discord, which people have been sharing, but at the same time, I didn't notice them as much. But I have heard that there's like loads out there. But anyway, enough about memes. Let's talk more about the actual movie. So yeah, I'm giving you this history, not brief, but like this history of like my build up. So I sit down and I'm really excited to watch Godzilla vs. Kong because this is a remake of an old. Well, it's not actually it's kind of a remake, but at the same time, it's like telling its own story. So it's not doing the exact remake, but they're pitting these two characters together, and it's never been done since the 1960s. So obviously they've done it in like things. Like that parody it, or cartoons that like sort of joke about it, but it was a long time coming. So anyway, I sit down on my sofa, I'm watching it at home, so there's already this weird feeling of like, oh my god, this isn't the cinema, but I'm happy I get to see it and all this sort of stuff. And then I'm not going to talk about the Godzilla Netflix trilogy. I'll say I liked it. I'm probably one of the few who actually really liked that trilogy, but I do need to go back and revisit it at some point. But I don't want to go off on a huge side tangent. So here we go. Let's get into this. So I'm going to start with my negatives, and I'm going to say this now: the spoilers will be from here on out. Okay, because I'm just going to go straight into it. So I don't know if I want to start with the negatives, but anyway, let's see what the initial thing I liked about this movie was actually the score, because before I actually watched the film, I listened to the entire soundtrack because it was released on YouTube. Actually, they released it, and I would go so far to say this is my favourite soundtrack out of the Monsterverse. Now, Godzilla King of the Monsters score was insanely good, but at the same time, a lot of it was themes that we've heard before. And what I appreciate about this film is it had a new theme tune for Godzilla, which is what the old Godzilla films used to do. They didn't always have the same theme tune come up. They sometimes would like mix it up and he'd have like a different theme. And I just like, I'm a sucker, because you can probably hear the music playing in the background. Like I think I've got the Overwatch soundtrack playing in the background. Like I'm a sucker for like orchestral music that also has mixtures of techno type music like in between, like digital music mixed in. And obviously this was all digital, I believe, but he recreated the orchestral feeling, and the fact that it sounded like someone mixed Tron Legacy soundtrack, Blade Runner 2049 soundtrack, even the original Blade Runner at times, the Godzilla King of the Monsters soundtrack, and Kong Skull Island soundtrack. Like someone took all those soundtracks, put them in a blender, and just mixed them all together. I was like listening to it, and I was like, "This is awesome!" Like, and what I love about the score is like when you're listening to it, whenever Godzilla turns up, like you can tell the Godzilla's on screen, and when you hear Kong's theme, you can tell Kong's doing something on screen. And I just really liked that that about the soundtrack. And yeah, I would go so far to say like I really want to buy this soundtrack. I need to get it now. I hope they release like some sort of physical copy of it so I can get it. But yeah. Also, another thing before I went into this film, as I want to mention, I was, and I mentioned it a minute ago, but I was Team Kong. I was Team Monkey, and I still am Team Monkey after the film. I'm going to say that I had a prediction. Some of you might know about my prediction that I had before going into the film, where my prediction was, okay, so they keep calling Kong in this series just Kong, okay? Now, I know it might be for some legal reason, but I was like, okay, they're calling it Kong. And then Godzilla second film comes along. It's called Godzilla King of the Monsters, and that film is about how he overthrows Ghidorah to re-establish him, or I guess re-establish, but like establish himself as the king of the monsters. You know, the end shot of the film is all the monsters are bowing down to him. He's the king. And my prediction in this film was that, okay, they're marketing it, one will fall and all this sort of stuff. And Godzilla, I think Kong is going to become King Kong because he's going to overthrow the king. That was my prediction. I'm happy to say that I am wrong, but there is also an aspect, ignore the bike, there is also an aspect of it that was correct. Kong was revealed to be a king in this movie, quite literally the last of his kind king in this movie. He even got a throne in this movie. He literally sat on a throne as like a king in his castle. But yes, he didn't overthrow Godzilla. There you go. So I was wrong about that, but the reason I'm staying as Team Kong I will get onto in a bit. So if you guys in the chat can remind me in a little bit, if I haven't brought it up, remind me, why are you still Team Kong? Because I have a little bit of Unfitted Rogue said, I thought that too, Jack. Kong gave Godzilla an ass whooping until Godzilla turned into a bloody Goku. Godzilla Masters, technically Kong is King Kong. The Universal logo appeared at the beginning of the film. Did it? I don't think this is Warner Brothers. Unless no, it's Warner Brothers in America, right? Because it's Godzilla versus Kong is released by Warner Brothers over here in the UK. But anyway, the story of Godzilla versus Kong, I really liked, even though it was really simple in the fact that they, the Kong team want to use Kong to go down into the Hollow Earth because this company called Apex wants to find this energy source that they believe Godzilla uses, but it's in the Hollow Earth where they believe all the monsters come from, and they want Kong to lead them to the energy source down there. And in taking Kong out of his habitat on Skull Island, they're risking the fact that, okay, you're taking this Apex Titan and putting him in the realm, taking him out of his containment to maybe meet Godzilla, who also is an Apex, and those two are going to fight because they have this ancient rivalry of who's going to rule the monsters, and then we basically discover that Apex just wanted Kong to find the energy because they're secretly working on Mechagodzilla, who is going to come out and destroy, or is designed to come out and destroy all of the Titans, and put man as the Apex Titan, because it's revealed in King of the Monsters that man is also a Titan. We might not be one massive creature, but we dominate the world as if we are a Titan. So, and I really like that about King of the Monsters, that reveal. I thought that was kind of neat, and I really like that this film lent into that and made one guy, this Apex guy, go, okay, I'm the mad scientist, I'm gonna try and establish man as the Apex. Unfitted Rogue says, so many unanswered questions. How did Apex get a hold of Ghidorah's head? Why weren't they investigated? Ghidorah's head wasn't it at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters? We see Charles Dance's character after the credits, they find the head of Ghidorah. I was a bit miffed that they didn't explain where he got it from, or that Charles Dance wasn't in this film. Maybe they shot something, because I know there's a few characters in this film, some actors, I've got it down here. There's a few actors who they shot scenes for, including the people who played the twin fairies, who had scenes in this film, but they cut them. And a couple of others as well, I believe. But yeah, so yeah, that kind of did annoy me that we didn't know about that. But I kind of looked past it. It's you just guessed that what's his face, Alan Jonah, who Charles Dance played, they got the head somehow that way. Maybe Apex bought it from them or whatever. There could have been a brief line of dialogue that we're just overlooking here that explains that. Because I've only seen the film twice, and I don't want to fall into the trap that I've complained about other YouTubers out there, that they review movies really quickly and then they get facts wrong. So I might say something here in this video that later turns out to be incorrect. Famously, for the Pterodome channel, is my Godzilla King of the Monsters review, where I did this mistake, because there's a complaint in that review where I'm like, where are the twin fairies? They were nowhere to be seen in this film. And then obviously there's a whole entire bloody scene in the film where the character's like, yeah, we were twins and all this sort of stuff. And clearly I wasn't listening to the movie at the time for whatever reason. So yeah, it's always good to let things sit, but at the same time, maybe there was a line of dialogue we missed, or maybe there's details in the background or something that we've missed, but also, I don't know. But anyway, so the plot of the movie, I liked it. It's simple, it's to the point. It felt very much like a 60s Godzilla film plot, and I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm in. Obviously, when you're watching it for the first time and not knowing where it's going, really helps, even for a simple plot, because you're like, where could this go next? And unfortunately for me, before this film came out, I was spoilt that Mechagodzilla was in this. I had no idea that Mechagodzilla was going to appear in this movie up until I saw a bloody Instagram post of a toy that someone had posted, and it was just because obviously on Instagram the algorithm goes, oh, you like this thing? Oh yeah, okay, we'll show you a million things of the same thing, even if you don't really want to see that. And I was looking at some Godzilla stuff, and then put up my timeline as this bloody sponsored post that showed me Mechagodzilla, and then Legendary Pictures themselves just lent into it because the cat was out of the bag and started posting about it, and I was like, oh no, this just confirms it. And it's had I not known that Mechagodzilla was in this film, I think I would have been a bit more like, whoa, like, oh my god, that's great. But when it arrived, I was like, okay, we know he's in the film. So Godzilla Masters Mechagodzilla was leaked back in 2020 of January. January of 2020. See, I didn't know about Mechagodzilla until maybe 2 weeks ago. Like, I'd managed to avoid so much of this movie, and then I saw that, and I was like, oh no, like, come on. But yeah, so yeah, the plot I really enjoyed. Now, where should we go here? The characters. I'll go on to the characters next. So I think I've got a list of characters here, but the characters I thought were fine. Like, the human characters I'm talking about here. The human characters were fine. There's none like I was really like gunning for or anything like that. I just, because they do that thing where they take the characters who are fighting for Godzilla, the Millie Bobby Brown character, and the guy, I forget his name now. What was his name? Bernie, that's the character. Bernie Hayes, who's like a conspiracy theorist. He's basically like Alex Jones, which I really appreciated that they had a character that was like Alex Jones in this film, that they really lent on. Like, he was one of the good guys, and everything he said was right. And I was like, are they trying to like big up Alex Jones in this film here? I was like, because it's reminding me, like, he wasn't as crazy as Alex Jones, but crazy good. I mean, like, he wasn't as entertaining, but I really like the idea that this conspiracy theorist was one of the protagonists. So he was probably actually one of the characters I was rooting for the most, but he ended up just sort of kind of fizzling out towards the end of the film. I liked the little deaf girl, was probably the most sympathetic character for me in this film, and I don't know if that's something to do with the fact that I'm a new dad. I like looked at the kid and I was like, oh my god, I just want to like protect her. She's so cute and all this sort of stuff. But she, the sign language stuff with her and Kong was really good, and that was probably the most, you could root for that character the most in this. For me anyway, that was the one that I leant towards the most. I was like, I'm rooting for these characters because there's some, as my wife put it, there's some heart to it, especially with Kong stuff, and all that sort of stuff was happening. I was like, yes, Team Kong, like Kong's got the most emotional arc in this sort of movie. But yeah, all the other characters, they didn't really, if I'm honest, like I didn't really like lean onto them too much, but I didn't really care. That's the thing. It was the same sort of thing with Godzilla King of the Monsters, although I would say the Kyle Chandler's character in King of the Monsters, what's his name? I got it here. Mark Russell. I think I was gunning for him and Dr. Serizawa in King of the Monsters more than any other character in this movie. And although Mark Russell does appear in this film, he's only in it like briefly. I don't know if they shot more of it, but I kind of felt like they could have lent more on his character. But yeah, I mean, I could just sit here and nitpick each character, but I don't really care to do that because, I'm here for Godzilla and Kong. They're the characters that I'm here for. Did they do those characters well? Yes, my god, yes. Godzilla was fantastic. It was so good to see Godzilla as a villain. Even though technically he wasn't a villain, he was trying to stop Apex from creating another Apex with Mechagodzilla. Even though he was protecting, he was destroying and killing people and all this sort of stuff. It was good that I liked that whenever he turned up on screen, the movie like made it feel like, okay, danger is here, like he's villainous, and it was, for the MonsterVerse, that was really refreshing to see, because I don't think we ever really got a scene like that in King of the Monsters or even the original one. Like, they actually played him off as a villain in this, and I really, really liked that. Even though he wasn't. Kong was Team Monkey. Kong in this film, his character is so good. Like, he's my favourite character in this movie. Like, the fact that he wants to get out of his containment at the beginning, and he wants to return home or whatever. The fact that he finds out he's like the last king standing, and I can't remember who said this in maybe in my Discord, but I totally agreed. It was like they were doing this whole thing where he was like learning to choose his battles or whatever, this sort of thing. So like when he Mike Shatt says, whenever you say Team Monkey, I just die. Monkey. Yeah, like I really liked just what they did with Kong. The world building they built around him was cool, and just that shot where what's his name? That guy, the human character. What's his name? Nathan. Because the human character names, I was like finding a hard time like actually remembering a lot of these names. But Nathan, Dr. Nathan Lin. There's a shot where he comes. They've just landed in Kong's castle, and it's a shot reminiscent of when Brody, the son Brody, gets out of the oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the plane. You know, the doors open to the back of this spaceship, and you've got the shot from the back of his head. It reminded me of that. But anyway, Nathan walks out, and they're in Kong's castle, and the camera pans up to just this insanely huge Kong sitting on a throne with this giant axe, and I was just sitting there like, this is awesome. This is so freaking cool. Like, to make Kong a king like that was just amazing. And this whole idea that there was this civilization of Kongs, and it kind of feels like they were ruling the Monsterverse in the Hollow Earth. And you know, with the Godzilla ring around where they put the axes, I got the sense that, you know, even though Godzilla technically won the fight in this movie, I kind of feel like down in the Hollow Earth, the Godzillas weren't doing too well down there. They even show, like, when Kong's like running through the whole Hollow Earth, there's this like squatted frog-like version of Godzilla walks up because it's got all the spikes on its back. And for a split second, I was like, is that meant to be the son of Godzilla? Because I was kind of expecting Kong to be running along, and then this little puff of blue-ringed smoke goes past, and Kong turns around and sees this hideous little frog Godzilla like squirting those little round like, and Kong's just like, what is that? And everyone in the audience would be like, that's the son of Godzilla. But yeah, like, there's just the world building of that was really cool. The one thing I will say about the Hollow Earth, though, just while it's on my mind, it was not that I didn't like it, it's just that I wish there was an answer, is where the frick is the sun coming from? Now, I know this is meant to be like a movie about giant monsters and giant robots, whatever, right? They're inside the Earth. There is a sun. There's plant life. Where is that sun? What the heck is happening with that sun? They never address it. They just do it like, you know, the camera shows it at one point. There's like a sunset in one thing, but it's like, how? Or are they? Never Not So Clever. This says, Jack, it's an optical illusion. Wait, okay, you might need to explain it a little bit further. But is it meant to be that it's the core, Jack, dummy? But the core is that the core of the Earth? Like, where is it situated? Because if the core would be inside the Hollow Earth, though, surely, right? I don't know. But anyway, I was like, where is that sun just floating around? I don't quite know. But Unfitted Rogue says the fact that Kong technically killed Ghidorah is just monkey. I'm joking. I'm just gonna rub it in. Jose says, is Skull Island just destroyed? No, from what I understand, because on my second viewing, because I was a bit confused about this, is that the storm went over the island and killed all the natives and flattened trees and all that sort of stuff. But the island's still there. Like, I think the island is just covered in a complete storm now. The sun shines through the sea and gets refracted through the gravity. Heim says, never not so clever at this. I don't know if I believe that. Godzilla says there's a miniature sun down there. It's like, I don't quite know, but I know it's like visually stylistic, and it might be an answer, but at the moment, I'm like, I was watching this Hollow Earth scene, I was like, this is amazing visually, but where the hell is that sun coming from? Like, how are they getting light down there? What's going on? But anyway, so yeah, I loved what they did with Kong. I loved all his little character nuances, like when he's in the rain, like kind of trying to, oh god, this sucks being on this boat. I like the fact that he uses his wits and cunning to outsmart Godzilla and all this sort of stuff at times, and yeah, like I just loved everything about him. Another thing about Kong, which I really appreciated from a sort of taste perspective, is I loved they took the old sort of 1970s T-Rex roar, which I believe they used in the 70s Kong for this Kong, and then they just beefed it up. So they've like edited it. And every time he did that roar, I was like, God, that sounds so cool. Even though it's like a roar I've heard a million times. I think I've even used it in Dino-Defenders, but like I was just like, that roar sounds so cool, like how they've like edited it. Yeah, so okay, that's those two. Now moving on, like I don't really have much to say about the other monsters, like the skull crawler. Okay, it's a skull crawler. It was the same as the other skull crawler, and it didn't really do much. It was just there to be killed. What other monsters are in the movie? Can't remember now. Oh, there's those like warbat things in the Hollow Earth. They were pretty cool. They reminded me a lot of the old Kenner snake alien toy, which I've actually still got up in my attic somewhere. They remind me of those flying things. Warbats, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you see those like little pterodactyl type things and all that, but yeah. But anyway, the other that was it. Those bat parrot things that were inside Kong's temple. I'll say this: I did not like those monsters. Those designs just looked bad to me. Like that, when something looks like a little parrot, I'm just like, this. It just doesn't look scary at all, and it just looked a bit naff. I like the bodies, everything like that's fine. It was just the face of these things. I was like, yeah, I'm not sold on those things. And then they had this like, they had a more prominent role in this movie than the Skullcrawler. So I was like, okay, I kind of feel like they could have come up with something a little bit better facially. Just, yeah, the Hellhawks, is that what they're called? Yeah, no, I wasn't sold on those whatsoever. Jurassic Room says that he liked them. They're like bat vultures. Yeah, I wasn't sold on them. No, that wasn't my jam. I just thought that they just looked a bit too cute. Titan of Serpent says I thought it looked more like an owl. Yeah, my nephew pointed out how he's like, oh, they've got like owl faces. He said. But anyway, now the other monster in the movie, Mechagodzilla. I will say this now. This ties into my previous conversation about the tonal shift. Now, when I watched Godzilla 2014 back in the day, I told myself, when I found out they were doing a MonsterVerse, I said to myself, quite often, whenever I watched the movie, I was sitting there going, okay, could Mechagodzilla exist in this universe that Gareth Edwards has set up? And I said no. And I kind of, and this is where it gets a bit finicky in my mind about connecting all these movies, even though like I do this just because it's fun. But when I sit down and try and think too seriously about it, I'm like, yeah, when I watched Godzilla 2014, I can't imagine humans building a giant robot that like can I don't know, could they? Well, the logic is why build it like Godzilla, I guess, because he's the best thing out there. I don't know, maybe I can justify it in this movie because it's the energy from the Hollow Earth that they infuse in it, so that gives it enough power to work. But there's something about the world in 2014 Godzilla, which is basically our real world, and then the world that's in Godzilla vs. Kong, which is like our world, but there's this giant Mechagodzilla. It jars with me, but at the same time, going back to my previous conversation, knowing how you watch like Godzilla 1954 and then jump to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, we're doing the same thing. So when I watch Godzilla 1954, the original one, I can't see a giant Mechagodzilla running around that place. That doesn't gel. But in the sequels, yeah, there's a giant robot Godzilla. I liked the design of Mechagodzilla to a point, but I'll admit, I wasn't sold on Mechagodzilla in this movie that much. Like his presence, sure, the way he I loved the scene where he slowly turns to that guy and then smashes the room. I liked the killing of the Skullcrawler. I liked how Mechagodzilla just handed Godzilla's ass to him, because in the original film Mechagodzilla was like a real challenge for Godzilla, like as close to maybe even hurting Godzilla more than Ghidorah, like really an adversary for Godzilla. But just the design of Mechagodzilla, I was like, I'm not sold on this design. I'm still not. There's just something about it that these like long arms, it almost looks like it should be on all fours. That's given me an idea now. If they'd have gone with like Mecha Anguirus or something like that, like something we haven't seen before in any of the Godzilla films, but like, you know, you've got Mechanicong, you've got Mechagodzilla. If they did like a 4-legged tank version, maybe I would have been more on board with that. Like, and Godzilla's getting dumbfounded by this thing that has rockets on its back and it's biting his legs and dragging him out and all this sort of stuff. It was just, as Never Not So Clever they said, Mechagodzilla was so skinny, and Godzilla Masters Mechagodzilla looked like a goddamn Terminator. There was just something about the design of it. I was just like, I'm not buying into this. But I like the presence of the character. I like what they're doing with the character. It's just his look. And there was one, like the visual effects in this movie were, and there's not much I can need to say about that, but the visual effects in this movie are stunning from start to finish. But there's one shot during the end fight where like Mechagodzilla really, I could tell, I was like, the CGI needed a bit of work in this one shot because it looked kind of like old school. Yeah, I agree with Android there. The Ready Player One Mechagodzilla, which I actually want to pull up. Let me have a look at that again. Ready Player One Mechagodzilla. I remember this looking absolutely amazing. Yes, if they'd made, oh my god, that looks so good. Yeah, if they'd have done that, the Ready Player One Mechagodzilla, if that was in this film, I'd have no complaints. God damn, that's so good. That's so good. But that's besides the point. I liked Mechagodzilla in the movie. I just didn't like his design. That's basically what it boils down to. No, I don't want to open up Steam by accident. Go away. Yeah, so basically, I think. Oh wait, why have I lost my tabs? There we go. Andrew Corvey, is this the Overwatch music? Yes, it's because I can play game music without copyright on live streams, and I play Overwatch sometimes on live stream, so it doesn't get flagged. And plus, it's kind of technical music. It kind of sounds a little bit similar to the Godzilla vs. Kong soundtrack. So what I did like about Mechagodzilla as well, though, is the use of King Ghidorah. The head of King Ghidorah, which we mentioned briefly before. But the fact that they mentioned that King Ghidorah could recreate himself, so they've like the brain is constantly recreating, but is being fed into this this neural link type thing between a pilot and the Mechagodzilla thing, and then when that severs, Mechagodzilla is essentially being controlled. The shell of the body of Mechagodzilla is embodying the mind of Ghidorah, which I really loved, because there is an old, I believe it's Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla or Godzilla Tokyo SOS. I think it's the first one, where in that old Godzilla film they built Mechagodzilla around the bones of the original Godzilla from 1954, and this Mechagodzilla then becomes sentient. It becomes, well, no, the old Godzilla from 1954 basically takes over the systems, and then this new Godzilla has to fight Mechagodzilla, who has the bones of the original Godzilla in it, and it's just this weird dynamic. And I like that they lent into that, because again, this film was like a complete, it was like someone took the 60s Godzilla films, or the old the Toho Godzilla films from pre 2004 backwards, and just went, what would that look like with today's effects? And then they just made it, and it was like, okay, brilliant. Like, and if you're like me, like a fan of those movies, this is just, I know it's kind of like more of the same, but of course it is. But at the same time, the visuals and just the way the camera's used is completely different. And I'm glad I said that, because that was something I wanted to bring up. The camera in this movie, the use of camera was something I really liked. The camera seemed to be like going all over the place, upside down. It's like you were on a roller coaster. There's like a scene where Godzilla butts the boat that Kong's on, and the whole thing flips, and you're following Kong as he grabs on, and like he's going under the water, and then it comes back up, and the camera's just all over the place. And I just loved that about this movie, the use of the camera. Speaking of visuals, one of the things that I found somewhat jarring was, and I watched James Rolfe's review of this film earlier today, and I just want to have a side note that I know he had a daughter, so he said he didn't want to he had priorities and didn't want to be in this film because he was offered a cameo. But wouldn't it have been so good to see the Cinemassacre himself in Godzilla vs. Kong, the man who introduced Godzilla to an entire generation? You know, that how much he's known for his love of Godzilla, the fact that the director reached out to him for a cameo in this film. If they don't get him in a future Monsterverse film, if they continue this, that'll be a crime against humanity. But anyway, yeah, so he complained about this in his, well, not really a complaint, but he brought it up in his video, and it's the same sort of thing as me. The use of neon in this film is just insane. Now, I said to my wife, because we paused the film to go to the toilet just before the Hong Kong battle went down, and obviously you've got Godzilla walking around Hong Kong. It's just, you know, the neons are everywhere. I said to my wife, my one at that time, because this is the first viewing and I hadn't really collected my thoughts entirely, but I said the one complaint that's jumping to mind straight away is the use of neon. And I said that it reminds me a lot of J.J. Abrams' lens flare obsession. It's like, it's cool visually for the first like 5 minutes, and then it gets old really quick. And in this film, it was kind of the same, especially when Millie Bobby Brown's character, Madison Russell, goes with her friend and what's his face? Bernie? Is it Bernie? Barney? Bernie. Oh, why am I forgetting these names? Let me see. Bernie, yeah, it is Bernie. They go into like where the skull crawler eggs are, and they're getting sent to Hong Kong. And there's also like the simultaneously the other characters are going to the Hollow Earth, and they're in these ships that have all like neon inside them. Had you removed all the neon in those scenes and just had the neon in the Hong Kong battle, I think it would have had more of an impact. because I was fine with the neon in the Hong Kong sequence because that just looked like visually insane. Had they refrained from doing that kind of style before that, I think when we hit Hong Kong, everyone would have been like, whoa, like this, okay, we did not expect the big battle to go down in this location looking like this, like a fever dream, like, oh my god, like the end of 2001 A Space Odyssey, but there's a giant monkey fighting a giant gorilla. But because they'd been doing the neon like a lot throughout all of the other movie, it just felt like, you know, now you're double downing on it in this final battle. Whereas if they just like done it for that final battle, I think it would have gone down a lot better. But that said, my wife, when we were watching it, we were laughing about the neon. We were like, oh my god, there's so much bloody neon in this movie. And then my wife said, oh, you know what? Because this is when we'd paused the movie to just have a quick toilet break. She was like, I wish there was a fight between these two in the day, or just some sort of day fight. And she was like, I know we had the boat fight, but a lot of that was underwater. She's like, I just want to like clear like a fight just to clear in the day. And then obviously when Mechagodzilla came out, she was like, okay, complaint rescinded. Like the final battle of this film is in the daytime. So, and also my complaint about the neon went out the window because the same city that was covered in neons the night before, there was no neon in that last battle aside from, I guess, parts of Mechagodzilla. And so I was like, okay, so it was like the film heard us in the last two acts, or the last two battles of that movie. It was like, okay, you like the visual style of the neon, but you found it to be too much because of all the other neon at the beginning of the movie. So okay, this last battle, no neon, and okay, you want to fight in the day, Mrs. Ewens, you get a fight in the day. It was like the film just heard us, and so we came out of this film just amazed by how it looked in the end. And I have the second time watching it, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm still sticking to that opinion of mine that neon, take all the neon out at the beginning of the movie up until Hong Kong, and that Hong Kong battle would have been like, you know, it would have been like when people who like talk about visual style of a movie and stuff, like I remember a lot of people when they watched Avatar, the James Cameron movie, for the first time, they said when the sun went down and the forest lit up, it was like, whoa, like, but had they done that bioluminescent stuff building up to it, or like for everywhere, like in little dips and dabs and everything, it wouldn't have had the impact that it did. But obviously that was near the beginning of the film, and Hong Kong battles towards the end. But anyway, this is just visual style. So I don't know where to go from here in my review. Just see what you guys are saying. Jason Kruger says the neon in Hong Kong was awesome though. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. The neon in Hong Kong was perfect, great, insanely good. But it was just a bit, by that point in the movie, I was like, this is a bit too overkill. What else are you guys saying? Never Not So Clever. This says, where does the heave rank amongst Godzilla super vehicles? I would say probably low. I wasn't actually a fan of the whole like energy going around the outside of the ships. I thought it would be better just having it a normal ship. Yeah, they were right. I mean, they served their function. Not too not too much to complain about really, but they didn't really do much. I mean, I guess they shot a warbat and went through into the Hollow Earth. Android says Mechagodzilla truly was an apex. He was until Kong got a hold of him. Tine of Serpent says, I loved Kong climbing across all those buildings. Yeah, I mean, that was awesome to see. That whole end fight, like the way, you know, obviously I can't not mention Godzilla getting the end of the axe down his throat, and that whole fight. There's one bit in the fight where Kong like uses both his hands and just slams down on top of Godzilla's head, but the shot's from below, and like I felt that. I was like, oh my god, like Kong is just punching this lizard in his tiny little head. And Godzilla, his strength is just we all know Godzilla is like almost invincible. The guy, like, okay, I'm gonna go into it now. Okay, I'm gonna bring it up. Okay, wait. Before I get on to Kong and Godzilla, I just want to mention this. Never Not So Clever This in the chat says, how did you feel about Apex Man and his Ultra Train? Yeah, again, that was one of these things where I was like, I'm just going with it. It was just neons. It was just neons everywhere, and they're flying to Hong Kong. I was like, okay, it would have been more interesting, I think, had they got into this thing with the skull crawlers, and obviously there's no neon, and it's more sterile, more... less like Laser Quest and more like scientific lab, and then it goes completely dark and they enter a tunnel in darkness, and then we just don't see where they're going. So like, and then when we have the scene where they're traveling through that tunnel and they have a bit of a conversation before they arrive, like it's just almost in pitch black, like you can't see where they're going, and it's just more mysterious, like you just don't know. I think that would have been better, rather than seeing this like crazy floating gravity thing. What was I going to say? So anyway, okay, no one in the chat reminded me, but I reminded myself. Okay, why am I still Team Kong? Because this plays into the battle between Kong and Godzilla. What I liked about it. Okay, now obviously, as I said before, the whole Team Kong Godzilla thing is just for a laugh, As a fan of both the monsters, like massive fan of both the monsters, I win either way. Whoever wins, I win, was what I was thinking, like when I was going into this. But why I was Team Kong, as I mentioned before, I thought he was going to overthrow Godzilla. I thought, if I'm going to pick a team for who I think is going to win, I'm going with the underdog. And obviously Godzilla kicks King Kong's ass on the boat battle. Like, he wins round 1, and then the film makes a point of Kong winning round 2 in the Hong Kong battle, because when Kong hits Godzilla right in the face with his axe, Godzilla slams down, and you see the axe lose its power because it's used all its energy up. And I believe Nathan, the character Nathan, says, well, I guess round 2 goes to Kong. So it's like, okay, so the film is making the point that was round 2. So if we're doing it like a boxing match, round 1 was the boat battle, Godzilla won. Round 2 was the first part of the Hong Kong battle. It went to Kong. Then the last part of the Hong Kong battle, in terms of Godzilla versus Kong, went to Godzilla, and he was the overall winner because he got Kong to submit. Obviously, Kong was then about to die. Mechagodzilla comes out, completely screws over Godzilla and is about to kill him, and Kong is brought back to life, back to energy by this the heave being blown up, and then he joins the fight and with Godzilla's breath on the axe takes out Mechagodzilla. So you've got Godzilla can beat Kong in a one-on-one, Mechagodzilla can take on Godzilla on a one-on-one, but Mechagodzilla is taken out by Kong using the power of Godzilla. But it's Kong's agility and his intelligence that takes out Mechagodzilla, really, because he's too, aside from when the tail gets him, he's too quick for Mechagodzilla to handle. Like, he's all over him. Like, Mechagodzilla doesn't quite know what to do. Jason Kruger says, people have been criticising that line about Kong winning round 2 because Godzilla wasn't really hurt that much and both went down from the axe hit. Who cares? It's meant to be like a boxing match. Like, if you were judging who won that round, if that was the end of the round, and the film was making the point, that was the end of the round, Kong dominated Godzilla in that first Hong Kong battle. Like, obviously, he had to try and stop Godzilla's breath from happening, and he used every trick in the book to try and do that. But anyway, so the reason why I'm still Team Kong, let's do this. Let's get full tribal. Let's get full tribalistic here. Why I'm still Team Kong is Godzilla is born, as far as we know, born powerful. He is just powerful. There's no winning against this guy for real. So Godzilla goes around hunting a monkey to try and prove how much of an apex he is. To me, that kind of feels a bit lame. The monkey, the giant ape, Team King Kong, has the giant cojones to try and take on this thing. He's like, you know what? I think I can take out this lizard. I mean, we saw in Kong Skull Island that when Kong grabbed a helicopter, he cut his hand and was like, ugh, like this, and then had to go wash his hand and like, and was like hurt. He was like, ugh, like this. And then you got Godzilla who's getting nukes dropped on him and he's just walking along like this. And then you have this this giant ape look at this Godzilla, this monstrous thing that can't be stopped, and go, yeah, I'm gonna take that on. The balls on this guy, the balls. So the fact that I was like, okay, I'm a guy, I'm a sucker for rooting for the underdog, and I think that with the whole Kong taking out Mechagodzilla ending, I was like, okay, I really like Kong. Like the fact when he's holding up Mechagodzilla's head and he's doing this, I was like, yes, like, you know, you might not be able to beat Godzilla, but my God, did Godzilla need you in that moment? And I know that's how they made the movie, and that was the point they were trying to make. But I was fully on board. I was like, this is great. Jurassic Room says Mechagodzilla was trying to use Kong's jaw rip move, and Kong was having none of it. Yeah, exactly. Big Shark says, me, Kong, smash small lizard. Yeah, exactly. Jason says, Kong is like that young kid trying to prove he's strong, while Godzilla is the experienced old-timer that's still in his prime. Well, this is the thing, right? Godzilla, you say Godzilla's an experienced old-timer, okay? But Godzilla, from as far as we know, he's always been like this. Like, he's never learned anything. Like, he's just walked around and gone, okay, fire breath this, take out this monster. Like, when you watch Godzilla 2014, when he finally awakens after X amount of years of him being in hiding, and he's like killing the male thing, the male Muto, and he's like, ugh. It's just like, he seems bored. He seems bored by what he's doing. Like, as far as we know, Godzilla hasn't really. I think when Godzilla met King Ghidorah in King of the Monsters, he got his ass handed to him, and then needed Mothra. Like, Godzilla always needs help. Godzilla always needs help. Just saying. Godzilla is nothing without everyone else. Yeah, exactly. Never Not So Clever that says Godzilla is never not in his prime. Well, he is. There's a bit where Ghidorah was about to kill him and Mothra saved him. And then there's a bit in this where Mechagodzilla's about to kill him. So, I think, like, as far as this Godzilla goes, yeah, he's all powerful. He can basically take on anything, but really, he needs help. He needs help. He does. He needs his monster friends. And where would he be without them? He'd be dead. He'd be gone. He'd be gone. Humans would have taken him out with Mechagodzilla. Yeah, without Emma Russell, Godzilla would be dead, said James. Yes. Jason says, you say Godzilla always needs help, but look at what the writers always do when Kong is over his head. Both get their treatment. Yeah, I know. But that's the thing, like, Kong. So, like, is the interesting dynamic between Kong and Godzilla is Godzilla rarely dies, if ever, in any of his movies. Like, talking about all the movies. And Kong pretty much always dies in all his movies. So it's like, you know, to see another movie where Kong lives is quite nice. But I just root for the underdog, and I just really like this idea, this monkey who got cut by a helicopter going, I'm going to go try and kill that giant lizard. It just makes me laugh. But then again, when you get to the Hollow Earth stuff, they're heavily hinting at the fact that it seems that the Kong race reigned over Godzilla, or maybe worshipped him. I don't know. They don't really go into it as much as that. But like, so around the throne of Kong's throne has the Godzilla symbol on the floor. So you can read that as in they're utilizing the power of Godzilla in their axes because there was like loads of axes lying around, like making up the picture? Or does that mean that they owned the Godzillas? Like, did the Kongs kill all the Godzillas except this Godzilla, and obviously the skull crawlers and whatnot killed the rest of Kong's people? Like, what's going on there? I'd like it would be nice to get a bit more of the backstory there, but I know they're only going to do that in comics and stuff. But yeah, I'm actually happy on this note. Actually, I'm actually happy if the MonsterVerse does stop here. Like, I'm not too fussed if they continue on, because I'm a sucker for like to the point movies and series, and to have 4 movies where it's like, okay, man is not the apex, Godzilla is the apex, he'll keep the balance, Kong is living happily in the Hollow Earth. Oh yeah, Godzilla Master says the Muto killed the Godzilla species. Never Not So Clever, this says, I got the impression that the Kongs worshipped Godzilla in the same way primitive man worshipped lions or dragons. Well, but they show them fighting loads in history at the beginning of this film. They show like a montage of like the history of Kongs fighting Godzillas. But yeah, my point is, I'm like, I kind of like this 4 movie series, like Godzilla, Skull Island, King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs Kong. I don't know where they could go from here, really, unless they just make more stuff like this. There was a line of dialogue in this where they say there's a Roswell Monarch base, or like the Alex Jones character is like, oh, what about the Monarch base in Roswell? And obviously the main guy in the film, Nathan, whatever his name is, when we introduce him, we're focused in on a little toy that he's holding of a spaceship, like a spaceman. And I don't know if that's meant to just allude to the fact that his brother went down into the Hollow Earth, or the fact that the film is trying to hint at we're going up there in future films if they make more. And that leads me to believe in that they would probably go Gigan. They'd probably introduce Gigan. I mean, if we've got Mechagodzilla, they're gonna go Gigan if they're gonna continue on, or Space Godzilla. I don't know if they would do that guy because he's not as like sellable as Gigan. Gigan's like one of Godzilla's biggest enemies. But yeah, but if they don't continue it, I don't care. Like, this is one of those series where you know, they're fun when they come out. So far, like, for me, I've liked all of the MonsterVerse films, and I've actually liked them all pretty much equally. I'll get onto my quasi ranking, I guess, towards the end of this, but yeah, the what was I just saying? If they continue it on, then it would just I hope they don't try and not throw all the money at it. I think this series needs to have the budgets they're on at the moment for making this. Yeah, Jurassic Rim says, I'd like one last film like Destroy All Monsters, maybe where a fraction of humanity goes to war with the Titans, but humans and Titans together must fight an ultimate threat. Yeah, maybe. Unfit Vega says they've got to do the Destroy All Monsters storyline where all the Titans rise up. Maybe that happened off screen with Godzilla defeating them. See, if I was to do, right, okay, so if I was to do Destroy All Monsters, let's say the next film is Destroy All Monsters, here's how I would do the storyline, okay? Something happens, I don't know what exactly, but something happens where Godzilla is killed. Godzilla is taken out. With the absence of Godzilla, like Godzilla is dead. Like, he is gone. Okay, the king is dead, and all the monsters, the Titans that are on Earth's surface, have no leader. and they go insane. Like, they go crazy. They start killing each other, and you get this, like, just all out. The monsters are hunting each other down, everyone. So you have Rodan goes and hunts down the new Mothra, or goes and hunts down Behemoth. The Muto goes and fights, tries to fight someone. I don't know. They're all just battling it out on the surface of the planet. Kong hears about this from upstairs. He's like, oh god, what's going on up there? And Kong, who's been raising a small son of Godzilla, so you've got that little frog thing I mentioned, but it's kind of grown up, and you've got the son of Godzilla there. Kong has been training this Godzilla in his ways. So you've got a Godzilla who's like a little bit more Kong in personality, a little bit more quirky, but needs to learn a lesson, and needs to be taught to become the new king. So you have Kong with his apprentice rising up and taking an army of monsters from the Hollow Earth who have joined him up onto the planet of the Earth to re-establish the domain. And what you find out is Godzilla was killed by, you could say, Gigan. Let's do Gigan. Gigan's there. Gigan's like come from space, and then they take down this guy, and then Kong has the opportunity to become the king. Like, he has the opportunity, but he decides to hand the baton. He lets Son of Godzilla be the new balance for the whatever remaining Titans are on planet Earth. Obviously, Rodan would probably have to bite the dust because he's a betrayer. But then Kong returns to the Hollow Earth. But then I don't know if it's just like kind of repeating this film, just with less monsters going crazy because Godzilla's going crazy, and it's all because there's an apex. There's a Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla threatens all the Titans in the thing. So it's kind of like, I don't know. And I agree with Never Not So Clever. This, he says King Kong needs his queen first. There might be another place in the Hollow Earth where Kongs are, and we're hinting at that, because there's a character who says, like, I hope he finds his family down there, and obviously he arrives at this temple and no one's there. But the Hollow Earth's a big place. Maybe they've moved somewhere else, or they're hiding somewhere else. So. Jason Kruger says, I don't think King Kong or Kong is the type that wants to rule over the entire planet. He seemed content with Skull Island. Yes, so he's not asking for much. See, this is what I mean though with this film. Like, Kong was taken out of his Skull Island habitat and was going to help the humans search for this energy by going to the Hollow Earth. Godzilla has this like complex where he's like, what? Kong's left his place, I must go defeat him. Had Godzilla not done that, Kong probably wouldn't go after Godzilla, right? They didn't hint that Kong was like desperate to go find Godzilla because he's also an apex. It seems to be Godzilla's problem. He's like got he's thin skinned. Is it thin skinned? Is that the term I'm looking for? Like, he can't stand the fact that there's like this monkey who he could easily kill, like, wandering in his neighborhood. It's like he can't just let Kong do what he wants. He has to go over and smack him about. It's like, Godzilla's such a bully. Godzilla is such a bully. It's like, what is your problem? So can't you just... It's called Small Dick, says Jurassic Room. Yeah. That's the thing, I always get the sense that Kong was like just defending himself this entire movie. Kong didn't care about Godzilla. Yeah, exactly, there you go. Jason Kruger said Kong didn't care about Godzilla, you're right. He heard Godzilla's war cry in King of the Monsters but didn't bother responding like the other Titans. Yes, exactly. This is what I mean, like, Godzilla in this film, fragile. He seems so fragile. Like, Godzilla in this film, even though he's like super strong and like all this and the other, he's a snowflake when it comes to his personality. Godzilla is a little snowflake, and Kong, the underdog, doesn't care. But he just defends himself. And I mean, for a monkey who is could be very easily killed by Godzilla, he puts up a damn good fight. And even though obviously he submits to Godzilla, because obviously Godzilla's going to win, it was a damn good fight to witness. But yeah, Harrison just turned up and said, "Hello, Jack. Hello, everyone. What did you think of the movie, Jack?" 2 thumbs up. Loved it. Really loved it. Now, people have been like ranking their MonsterVerse movies like from favorite to least favorite. I'm gonna be that asshole. I rank them all the same. They all their pros and cons to me, like in my mind, if I balance them all, they all come out about the same. There's not like to me they're all as fun as each other for the different reasons. I might have to say though, like Godzilla versus Kong is the freshest, the newest one, so of course it's going to be like more exciting to talk about it compared to the other ones as we speak, because it's like we've just got it. But this one is the one that I feel like I felt the most energy behind myself for. Like I was having such a blast watching this movie, even though like some of the human characters I didn't care about, but I was invested in like them getting to where they wanted to go to and discover what they wanted to find. But just the sheer dynamic between Kong and Godzilla, and Kong going to the Hollow Earth, all that sort of stuff, I just loved all that, and I was just like, this is great. But yeah, I don't like this ranking thing. It's just it doesn't really bother me. I know some people can do it because they have like actual opinions, like really strong opinions about each entry. But for me, like, you weigh up the pros and cons of Godzilla 2014 and the pros and cons of Kong Skull Island and all the other two, King of the Monsters and this one, Godzilla vs. Kong. They all come out about the same for me. So it's like, to pick which one is my favourite, I don't know. Jurassic Room says Kong of the Monsters was my favourite when G-Man enters Boston. It's the single most badass moment I've seen in the theatre. Even beats the Jurassic World films in that regard. Yeah, the when he's got like the military all behind him and everything. Mikey says, I didn't realise Kong ignored King Ghidorah. Yeah, of course he did. He's one of the, well, he's an apex, but he's the only one who like doesn't give a shit. he doesn't care. Like, these other monsters all have this thing in their mind where they're like, oh, we're gonna have to rule over and all this sort of stuff. And Kong's just like, he just wants to sleep on the island and scratch his ass and shower in a waterfall. Like, that's what he wants to do. That's what that's why I like him as a character, as a Titan. He's just great. He's funny. Jason Kruger says, yes, Ghidorah wanted everyone to take down Godzilla and destroy the Earth, but Kong was like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. But yeah, what else is there to say about this? Just aside from some like specific moments that I really liked. I like the bit where, like, one of the things I was thinking about when before this film came out was like those boats, like the boats that they're on when they're fighting. I was like, what is going on with those boats? Like, how are they holding the weight of these two creatures? But they do kind of establish that, like, when the monsters are on the aircraft carrier, this thing is like wobbling about all over the place, and it's just like awful. But yeah, I don't know. What else is there to say? Like, there's loads of like shots I really liked in this movie. Like, I like the shot. One that jumps to mind is like the shot of the hole to where Kong's kingdom is, and the giant axe comes out and slams down and cuts this fire engine in half, and Kong's huge head comes out. It's like, I just like shots like that I really liked. Just trying to see what you guys are saying. Jurassic Room says my granddad even wants to see it, and he's particular about monster movies. Okay, so another missed opportunity. Okay, there's a missed opportunity here, and this is like a character one. Something I would have liked to have seen is the what's her face, Madison Russell, Millie Bobby Brown's character. There's a shot where she's at school at the beginning, where they're getting the CNN news report of Godzilla attacking the Apex facility, and she's sitting in school. You know, it's like a normal day and all this sort of stuff. And part of me felt like they could have lent into the fact that her mum was the one who basically destroyed the world, because they have that newspaper clipping that says Emma Russell, savior or villain or whatever, and I kind of feel like, and I don't know, maybe I missed it, maybe some school classmates are like talking about her and pointing at her or something like that, but I kind of wish they had like a scene where, or even had like she'd had a name change. Like, she had to change her identity because of what her mum did in the previous movie. It kind of just felt like, how many years is this after King of the Monsters, and she's like just at school like a normal kid? I kind of felt like there was a missed opportunity to have her in like some sort of witness protection program because of what her dad did. Yeah, as James Thompson said, they had the CEO of Apex guy point it out. Yeah, and like the Bernie, the conspiracy theorist guy, knew who she was through her name, and it's like you kind of just wish that they'd done a little bit more with that, because, you know, her mum released Ghidorah and all the other monsters by proxy. So yeah, I kind of feel like that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, because that would have been a nice like way of continuing on the story thread from King of the Monsters. It's not like the worst thing, but like I said, maybe I missed a detail. But Unfitted Rogue says Madison was so annoying. She had way too much freedom, and you would have thought her father would learn from the last film of how involved his daughter was. Stupid logic. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mind that too much, because, you know, she was at home, but I kind of felt, yeah, like I said, I just kind of felt like they could have just lent into more of the fact that her connection to her mum and what her mum did in the previous movie could have had a little bit more weight to it. Maybe they shot some stuff, I don't know, because there's, you know, as I'm hearing, there's a lot of like stuff that they didn't put into the film. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything I'm missing out here. Never Not So Clever at This says no post-credit scenes. Yeah, we stayed until after the credits, and that's what I'm saying. If this is the last one, then okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Jason Kruger says, to be fair to Emma, because of her, the Titans started bringing new life to the planet. Ghidorah was the problem child, and once he was gone, it was fine. Ghidorah killed a lot of people. The Titans, under the control of Ghidorah, killed a lot of people. Emma, I like Emma Russell's character because it's like she's an eco-terrorist. Yeah, But she's not good. She would be in prison for a very long time for the crimes that she did on that day if she was taken to a court of law. I don't see her surviving against a jury for more than 10 seconds. Yeah, she, as James says, even she realised she went too far. Harrison said, so did Godzilla kill every other Titan? No, I don't think so. I think it's just they're not at the apex. They're not the ones he's looking for. Titan of Surf said, would you have liked to have seen Kong fight Rodan or something? No. I mean, if it was its own movie, if they made a movie called Kong versus Rodan, then okay, fair enough. I'd go watch it. Yeah, the end of this phase. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Oh, what was I going to say? Yeah, well, anyway, I'm just reading the chat. Godzilla just rules them. He doesn't kill the other Titans. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I don't know where else to go from here. Harrison says, is the Dino-Defenders stream still happening? No. I'm so tired. I'm going to just go hit the hay after this. I'm not going to... I've done loads of painting this week as well, so it's going on behind the scenes. The Luxter says, do you think the skull of Ghidorah will be explored later on, or do you think it's just left there to rot? If they do continue it, I think it's just going to be not talked about. Remember when people thought Skull Island was going to be Monster Island? Yeah, I thought that, actually. I even thought they're going to do that because of, I believe, the end of King of the Monsters. There's like a newspaper clipping that says like monsters are being drawn there. Jurassic Room says, what's your favourite Kong film, Jack? The original, 1933 King Kong. That's my favourite. Never Not So Clever at This says, did the film use motion capture of Kong's expressions? That's where the creature's design signed. They did in Kong Skull Island. Yeah, they probably did, I think. But well, no, in Kong Skull Island, they used keyframing for animating Kong's body. I think they might have used motion capture of the face, perhaps. Unfit to Rogue asks, didn't Skull Island from 2005 sink? Yes, it was sinking, so I'm guessing it would have been gone at some point afterwards. And that's from the original film. In 1933 King Kong, the sequel Son of Kong, the island sinks. And the last shot of Son of Kong is like the Son of Kong's hand going in the water like... Moondog Jr. says, are you still reviewing the movie or are you just answering questions now? I'm trying to think what else I can say about it. Yeah, that was loud. That was probably the bike outside. My apologies. There's a road just there where I happen to stream. But the baby is furthest away, so that's how I can stream while the baby sleeps. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about the film other than I really enjoyed it. Great. I want to watch it again. Can't wait to go see it at the cinema. Can't wait to own it on 4K. Big thank you, by the way, to Never Not So Clever at This for getting me access to see the film. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll end it there. Get some rest, Jack. Yeah, okay, I think I will. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry for it's not going to be a long stream tonight compared to what we usually do, but I'm just too tired and I need to reorganise for next week what's going on. I've got a lot coming up. And oh wait, I'll mention that Jason Kruger says the CEO's daughter, is it Mia? What's her name? Maya Simmons. I didn't mind. Her character wasn't really in it as much, so I didn't really have a problem with her character. She was just like there to get the information and then bite the dust. So, yeah. Are you Team Kong, says Acro? Yes. Yes, I am. But yeah, anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming to today's stream. Yeah, let me know if you're watching this in the future, what you thought about the film in the comments below, and I will catch everyone here next week, 9 p.m. till 12. We'll do a paint stream next week, next Friday. So I'll see you in a week's time, everyone. Maybe I'll have some. I don't know. Well, I'm not going to tease you. Anyway, see you later, everyone. Bye bye.